It is Wednesday, 22nd of November 2023. A very dubious date in history, of course, being the 60th anniversary now of the Kennedy assassination in 1963. And that very day, also, Aldous Huxley of Brave New World and eugenicist fame shuffled off this mortal coil, as did the occult writer C.S. Lewis. All three of them died the same day, 22nd of November 63. Also the date in history in the music world where Michael Hutchence of In Excess was discovered dead in a Sydney hotel room in very suspicious circumstances in 1997. And also in 2015, the date where we sadly lost the great author and researcher Dave McGowan of Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon fame, who sadly died on that day. Big thanks to my dude Delvin for this great top, this hoodie. This is part of his Feel the Vibe range from his Vibe Fitness brand. He operates that in Turkey in the Antalya area, and he's going to be running some courses in 2024. And I'm looking forward to being involved, hopefully, in the one happening at the very end of May, where I'm going to be going out to Turkey to drop a DJ set at one of these events. So Delvin's a great guy. He's very awake, very aware, very consciously switched on, knows what's happening in the world, knows what this place is and what reality consists of as far as any of us can. And he incorporates those elements into his events. And it's all about keeping yourself in great shape physically, mentally, and spiritually. So hold tight for more on that from Vibe Fitness in due course. I want to mention some upcoming stuff happening in my world. I've got 4 more events in 2023 in the UK, and these are all worth being a part of for anyone who can participate. So first off is the next instalment of the Uprise and Shine conference. I've been at many of these, the past several in fact, and I always look forward to them. They come highly recommended. For all those folk in London who complain that events never get close enough to the capital and they're always in far-flung locations, this is your chance to experience the Uprise vibe, because this one is taking place in London. So it's at the Canada Estate Tenants Hall, which is in Canada Water in the Docklands area of London, SE16, and it's happening over the weekend of Saturday 2nd and Sunday the 3rd of December. Speakers there include Karen Dodd, Giles Bryant, David Clues of Unity News Network, Fergus O'Connor Greenwood, author of 180 Degrees, Alan of Salisbury, who is amazing, talking about the occult art of law. Myself, my presentation is going to be on the power of the subconscious mind. There's also Rebecca Bletch, Juliet Bryant, Crypto Sam, Pete and John, Dr. Claire Hinsley, and many, many others. As well as the presentations and all this amazing information being shared, there's going to be stalls, there's going to be natural health stands, there's going to be music performances, and there's going to be a DJ set to round off the Saturday evening from myself. So for anyone that can be a part of Uprise in London, do get your tickets as early as you can, because the promoters need to be able to ensure that this event can go ahead. As I'm sure people can appreciate, there has to be an element of forward planning, and there are operating costs to be met and all of these practicalities of this real world. So if you want to be a part of Uprise in London, do please get your tickets early. There are details in the links below to where you can get hold of yours. And I really hope this one can go ahead, because having been a part of Uprise for the past several events, I can testify as to what a brilliant time they are spent among like-minded people. They're like speakeasies, you know? You can just have open conversations with anyone in attendance without anyone thinking you're crazy. Imagine that. The other event that I want to mention that weekend is taking place in the Midlands, and this is on the Sunday, the 3rd of December. It comes from the Barnard Comedy Club, and it's a day of unwoke, if you like, awakened but not woke, comedy, conscious comedy. You're going to get acts there from Sean Mio, Abby Roberts, Johnny Cole, and also presentations from the aforementioned Fergus Greenwood O'Connor of 180 Degrees. So he's got a busy weekend. He's going to be at both of those events, as am I. And also Carl Vernon. Also at that event you get music performances, and another DJ set for myself to round off the evening. So yeah, I'm going to be dropping some tunes and just keeping those vibes high throughout the day. So it kicks off from 3 p.m. It takes place at Upton Barn, which is Manor Farm near Nuneaton, Warwickshire, not too far from Coventry. So an all-day event kicking off at 3, and if you want to be a part of that one, if you want to grab a bit of seasonal comedy, in keeping with what many of us talk about on these podcasts and these videos, that would be a great one to be a part at. After all, the world is, of course, and can be demonstrated to be completely ridiculous and utterly absurd. And sometimes the only appropriate response to it is just to laugh at how insane it all is. On that note, watch out for a podcast I'll be doing in the coming weeks with Dom and Chris of Sheep Farm Studios, and also Lance and Andy PG of Rise Above, two of my favourite podcasts. What I like about these guys is that they take the piss and they have a bit of a laugh and just poke much needed fun at this ridiculous world in which we find ourselves. So this is going to be a reflection on Clown World 2023, which we've all just lived through. And watch out for that on my Good Vibrations platform very soon. It's going to be a free flow conversation between the 5 of us. So the 2 other events I want to mention in December are going to be taking place in Lincolnshire. So the following weekend is a Lincolnshire double bill. I did this earlier in the year, in the spring, and it's going to be kicking off on Sunday the 10th of December. This one is going to be in Cleethorpes. It's going to be dark occult aspects of Queen, the group Queen. So I've done a deep dive into them. In this series so far, I've already exposed aspects of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, also Prince and Madonna. So this is Queen's turn to get the spotlight shone on them. And they were a group that I used to dig growing up, but I've discovered some stuff about them, and I'll be presenting my findings on Queen at this event in Cleethorpes. So it's at the Pavilion Community Centre on the evening of Sunday the 10th of December. Then the following evening, I'm moving down the coast to Mablethorpe to the Dunes complex, and that is going to be my mind control through James Bond presentation. So how those books and those movies have been used for social engineering psyops. So if you want to get along to that one, that's the evening of Monday 11th of December in Mablethorpe. That's the Lincolnshire double bill. Links in the description below as always, and those are my last 2 live events of 2023. It's been quite a year, I can tell you. Just want to mention again my novel, which has just dropped. Very pleased to announce that The Gift and the Curse is now on the streets. Is the follow-up to my 2019 allegorical novel The Cause and the Cure. This one is set in 2001, and it catches up with many of the central characters from the previous story 10 years on, set against the backdrop of the events of September 11th, of course, in the United States, but with a distinctly British and very Oxford twist, as is the case with these stories. So if you want to get a copy of The Gift and the Curse, it's currently on Amazon, but I am posting out copies to anyone that wants to get a signed version from me direct. Just drop me an email to the Proton Mail address that you'll find in the description below, and we can make that happen. There's a Kindle version of the book as well, which you can get on Amazon KDP if you like your books in that format, and there is going to be an audiobook, so that will be available on Audible. I'm going to narrate that myself, but it is going to take a few more weeks because unfortunately the process of putting an audiobook together, as anyone who's actually done it will tell you, is very involved. It's very laborious, very tedious work, takes a long time, mainly in the editing process. But in the new year, I would say very early in 2024, there's going to be an audiobook version of The Gift and the Curse. And then one of these days, I really must get around to doing an audiobook version of Musical Truth 2, which is the only volume in that series which I've not yet voiced. So that again is on the agenda. The other thing I want to mention is the MD archives. So I mentioned this for the first time a few weeks ago, and this is what it's going to look like. It's basically a Seagate 1 terabyte external disk drive. It is the past 15 years worth of my work, basically my complete works, going back to when I first went public with my findings into the true nature of the corporate music industry and what entertainment and popular culture is really used for. I've been doing this work now for the best part of 15 years in the form of my books, also in the form of podcasts, interviews, radio shows and videos, also the audiobooks, and also the many video announcements and updates that I've done over the years. So I've put together the complete archive of all of this material. It's every episode of my Good Vibrations podcast so far, and I'm on 220 odd episodes now. It's every episode of the Sound of Freedom Conscious Music podcast, and watch out for a new installment of that coming very soon, by the way, show 122. I'll be working on that this week. That goes back to 2013. I've just crossed the 10-year anniversary of that. Every interview that I've ever done in audio and video format on these sort of subjects going back to 2012, and they number over 400 now. That's over 400 interviews that you get on this archive. You also get the audiobook versions of all the books that I have voiced so far, and also the soundtracks to my 2 novels, The Cause and the Cure and The Gift and the Curse. So all of that is contained within this disk drive. So it's very similar to the offer that Mark Passio does with his the ARC, the Amazing Repository of Knowledge. But this one works slightly differently in that the package consists of anyone who's interested sending through the donation, which consists of £50 for the archives and the cost of getting hold of one of these Seagate disk drives. Now, I've experimented with a few brands, and really it's only Seagate that's turned out to be reliable. Some of the other brands I've used have not come up to scratch, so I'm only going to be using Seagate disk drives, and these cost 46 quid per drive for me to get hold of. So the package consists of the £50 for the archives, the 46 quid for the drive, and then the special delivery, which in the UK comes in at £8.15. So it's a little over 100 quid, or any more that people choose to give. So if you wish to give something further by way of a donation, if you found value in my work and you appreciate what I've put out there and wish to support me and help me to keep it going, then of course any further donations are gratefully appreciated. But that's the package. And that's the offer. If you want to take advantage of it, I send out one of these disk drives loaded with hundreds and hundreds of hours of material. It would literally tie you up for weeks and weeks and weeks on end if you watch all this stuff and listen to it back to back. So that's the MD Archives. That offer is going to be ongoing, and with every new interview or every new video that I put out, I will add it to the archives, and anyone that gets hold of the latest copy of it gets all the up-to-date information as well as everything else I've sent out. I think that's pretty much it for now. So that's some upcoming UK events. There's also going to be another video very soon on the Questioning History event happening in March of 2024, and also visits to Cliveden House, the family estate of the Astor family, that aristocratic bloodline, and also the Hellfire Caves in West Wickham, very close to High Wycombe, which do feature in the story of The Gift and the Curse. There's going to be guided tours of both those locations as part of the Questioning History Conference happening in March of 24 in Berkshire, very close to Slough. That's brought to you by Gloria Moss and the team behind Questioning History. And Gloria has also put together a 2-day programme in London in December, Friday 15th and Saturday 16th, for anyone that wants to delve into some of the hidden and dubious history of London, and specifically the city of London, and get inside some occult arcane knowledge related to the city. So as I say, there's a separate video on those 2 events on all my platforms, and of course there'll be information on djmarkdevlin.com/events on all these upcoming events, conferences and festivals. Loads of good stuff lined up for 2024 as well. What a bloody year this one has been, but if we've made it this far, I'm pretty sure we can make it through the rest of it, no matter how ridiculous, absurd and crazy it all just continues to get, right? We make the best of it. We do what we know we must, and so it's important to support each other as well, and get together on whatever occasions we can to provide that support infrastructure. Catch you soon. Cheers.